Welcome to my living room, where life is a cabaret. Now, in a cabaret, usually you have something to sip on. So I recommend that you all go and get something to drink. While you're doing that, I'm going to introduce you to my cast of characters here in my house. Holding the camera is my partner, Dominic. I'm not going to show him to you because I'd probably end up turning off the screen. But the other character is this is my dog Figaro, our dog Figaro, and he gets excited sometimes. You might see him try to sing along or be part of the act. So I thought you should know that that's not just some wild animal, but that this is actually a member of the household. I'm drinking, by the way, tonight, a very beautiful rosé from Provence. This is the flavor of summer, if you ask me. Tonight, what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce a lot of you to cabaret. I'll bet there are a lot of you who have never been to a cabaret show. So I'm going to start with a song. Then I'm going to talk about what cabaret is. Then I'm going to do another song. And after that song, we're going to have a question and answer period because I'm going to explain to you why I arranged that song in that way. After that, we're going to have another song and then a big sing-along. After every song, you are going to be unmuted. So don't do anything naughty over there once you're unmuted, because we can see everything when you're unmuted. But the reason I want to unmute all of you after each song is so that we can hear you applaud, because I need that. What are we? What is the been we're living for? Applause, applause. Anyway, I think you've had enough time to get a drink. Here's to you all. Let's have a fabulous evening together. Oh. The way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that, no, they can't take that away from me. The way you smile just beats, the way you sing off key, the way you haunt my dreams, they can't take that away from me. We never meet again, oh no. But I always keep a memory of the way you hold your move, the way we danced till 3, the way you changed my life. They can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away from me. They can't take that away. We may never meet again on this bumpy road, but I'm always gonna keep the memory of the way for the unwind, the way we played till 3, the way you saved my life. They can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away. Can't take that away. They can't take that away. It was really cafe singing. Woman or the man sang. We're talking about the 1910s. In the 1920s, cabaret became more well known as something that was happening in Berlin. It was called Cabaret. And for those of you who know the movie Cabaret, that's what that was. And at that point, cabaret became social commentary. It became an opportunity for artists, performing artists and writers to skew the government, sometimes with reviews, sometimes with numbers. And then cabaret during World War II started to move into the nightclub scene. In the United States, it was cafe singing in speakeasies, singers standing at a piano or singers working with a small orchestra in a small speakeasy. And then it became the nightclub scene. And often after they would do their show, their Broadway show, they would go to a club and they would do their nightclub act. And many of these people became our best cabaret performers. Barbara Cook, who was in The Music Man in 1957, developed a nightclub act. Once we got into the 60s, Barbra Streisand began her career in a cabaret. Bette Midler began her career in a cabaret. This is how the art form grew. My great cabaret performers, the people that have influenced me, are Bobby Short, Julie Wilson, Dawn Hampton, and I highly recommend that you write down those names and go look at them on YouTube. Bobby Short, Dawn Hampton, Julie Wilson. These people became the masters at turning a song into a 3-act play. And that's a big part of what cabaret is about. I had a teacher once who pointed out that the first words that a child will say, among the first words are, "Tell me a story." We are wired for stories. So what we cabaret artists do is tell stories through song. The reason I think that it's important for you to start to love cabaret is I think once we start coming out of our homes and we're allowed to go out and hear music again, cabaret will be one of the first art forms, the first forms of live music that you'll be able to enjoy, because there's only 1 or 2 artists on stage, because the finances of cabaret are not so extreme. Like a Broadway show, it costs $19 million, $40 million to produce a Broadway show. You have to have butts in the seats in order to pay for that. So I think that cabaret is going to be something you're going to want to check out. And also cabaret tends to be very romantic. It's a very romantic evening out. So I'm going to do a love song for you now, a pairing of 2 love songs. And this is one of the things that we can do. One of the things that makes cabaret special is that the artist decides how the piece will be presented. The artist chooses, do you want to put 2 songs together to make it a more complete story, to tell the story better? That's what I've done with this piece. The first song, the second song, I think you'll recognize. It's written by Julie Stein, wrote the music, and Dorothy Fields wrote the lyric. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Jerome Kern wrote the music, and Dorothy Fields wrote the lyric. The first song was written by a friend of mine. His name was John Wallowich. He was a great cabaret singer and songwriter, as you will hear. He knew how to tell a story in the song. And then I'll bridge into the other song that you probably know. But listen to this. Listen to this storytelling. 4 o'clock, Sunday morning, New York town is quiet once again. All alone, Sunday morning. I forgot to tell you, after I finish this number, we're going to have a question and answer period, so you can ask all the questions you want. All alone, Sunday morning. Don't go to bed, my sleepy-headed friend. There's no sound in the street. The city's gone away. Can't we stay up and greet another New York day? Say, come a little closer. Let me sing you my song. just a little closer. It won't take very long. It's late, and we mustn't play this piano too loud, for the neighbors upstairs are asleep and dreaming. Come a little closer, I'll play you my happiness softly, sweetly. Come a little closer. I will sing my song a little closer. It won't take very long. And when I'm finished, I know we'll be a little closer than we were. Just a little closer than we are. The wind is howling and a storm's on its way. So let's quietly play on this old piano. Come a little closer, I'll tell you my happiness softly, sweetly. Come a little closer. I will sing my song closer. Won't take very long, but when I'm finished, I know we two will be a little closer than we are. Just a little closer than we were before. Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel alone, just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. But you're lovely, with your smile so warm, and your cheek so soft. There's nothing for me but to love you, just the way you look tonight. With each glance your tenderness grew, tearing my fears apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love just the way you look tonight. The way you look tonight. Why did I create that arrangement? What was I trying to do with that arrangement? I had had a very romantic experience in my life that I wanted to flesh out in song. Just the Way You Look Tonight is a perfect song to reveal what I was feeling on that very romantic experience. But it doesn't tell a whole story for me. I needed to expand on it. So I attached the song to Come a Little Closer because I wanted people to have the image in their minds of two people alone at a piano early in the morning or late at night in New York City, with New York City all around them being quiet, because that's exactly what the experience was. There's also, as an arranger, there's this thing called the moment. It happens often if you have a song that has a verse and then you have the refrain, and when you get to the refrain, they go, the Way You Look Tonight doesn't have a verse. So I used Come a Little Closer as the verse. I used it as the build-up to that point where you recognize what song I'm doing and you go, I love that song. That's part of what I was doing. Let me know now, Shelley, if anybody has any questions about cabaret or arranging for singers or for what we do.
You have a lot of questions. So, okay. So first of all, people are commenting about your daily offerings. If you're still doing them, how can they find you? And there's been a whole lot of very positive feedback as to how they've really helped them along in these last, someone said 72 days. So,
yeah, I did 76 days of them. And I'm really moved by how people were how it mattered to people. That means the world to me. I'm not doing them anymore because my agreement was that I would do them as long as we had to stay at home, but New York City has started opening up. So I am not doing them anymore, but all 76 songs are on my website, marknadler.com. And you can go there and look at them as much as you like. They're available to everybody. You don't have to join anything. While I'm plugging things, I do want to say that I am available for Zoom coaching and for private parties and for in-person coaching eventually. And you can arrange all of that with me directly by writing me an email, and Shelley will send you my email address after we're done. But my email address is marknadler@me.com. So, and also if you want to sign up for my email list so that you know when my performances are, please do that. She'll send you the link for that as well.
We have a couple. I'll try to move through them fast.
Great.
Who is your biggest inspiration?
Well, there isn't just one. I had so many. I mean, honestly, I swear to God, my first inspiration as a pianist was Bugs Bunny. I just wanted to be able to do all that stuff he was doing. Also Chico Marx. Eventually, I became aware of the work of Bette Midler, and she greatly influenced what I did. When I came to New York, I met Dawn Hampton. Dawn Hampton greatly influenced who I became as an artist. Bobby Short, as I said. Those are my main influences.
Okay. How did you get started in the cabaret?
All right. I do not come from New York City. I know you look at me and you think that I am so cosmopolitan because I wear ties and vests when I'm in my own home and drink wine. But I was born in Waterloo, Iowa. I am Jewish. Iowa is our nation's pork state. It was a horrible, horrible place for me to live in almost Dickensian childhood. And so I had to get out of there. So I got a job when I was 10 years old, playing and singing in a place called the Long Straw Saloon in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And I got that job so that I could save up my money to put myself into boarding school for high school so I wouldn't have to go to high school in Waterloo, Iowa. And I went to the Interlochen Arts Academy in Michigan for high school. But that's how I started in cabaret. It was necessity. That was the job that I could get. And when I came to New York City, when I was 17 years old, because I had so much experience already doing that, that was where my jobs ended up. I ended up getting those jobs more than anything else. I did do theater. I did work as an actor. I did all of that stuff. But mainly my work was as a cabaret performer. And so since that's where the work was, that's what I became good at.
Okay. Should a cabaret act have a theme continuing throughout?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A great cabaret act simply needs to be the expression of the artist. Now, I often do shows with themes, but I often don't. But even if you have a show that doesn't have a theme, it needs to be cohesive. You have to have an underlying, when I work with artists and when I direct, I create with them a whole story that the audience never gets to know. It's the artist's business as to what that is. And just having that knowledge of why you are singing what you're singing, even if the audience doesn't know why you're singing what you're singing, they feel that there's some logic to it and they feel there's cohesion. You don't have to have a theme, but I do highly recommend that you create a through line that is story-based.
Who would you like to sing with that you've not gotten the chance to sing with yet?
All of you, and that's going to happen later tonight.
Okay, hold on.
And I'm warning you, when we all unmute and sing together for the sing-along at the end of this thing, it's going to sound horrible. It's going to be a disaster because Zoom doesn't know how to do this. But what the hell? By then we'll have had so much wine we won't care.
Okay, you have so many comments about how much they love you. I'm trying to go through them to get to the questions.
But thank you for those comments. Thank you.
There are, and I will make sure that Mark gets a copy of this chat so he will have a chance, because there's many people that appear to know you directly and have been following you for a while. And I would like you to be able to read all the really nice comments. So I think that that's it as far as actual questions for right this minute.
Okay.
So you keep moving. The only thing I do suggest is that if we're going to do the unmute thing again, that please, after that, please everybody remute yourself again. Barbara is saying, I have a question. Go ahead, Barbara.
Barbara! Is that Barbara Brussel?
Go ahead. I'll unmute you, Barbara. You can ask your question since you didn't write it, or you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Barbara, is it you?
I think it was me. So it's still...
Barbara Brussel, everybody. Barbara Brussel's one of the best cabaret singers in the world. World. She played at the Algonquin. She's incredible. Barbara, I'm so happy you're here.
I love you so much. Your 76 trombones were so successful. Okay, my question, and the most weird, fascinating thing today is I love those songs. All of them. I cried at Come a Little Closer. It's the name of my next CD, right? But okay, so 2 songs that you sang, in my mind, I want you to define why. Mm-hmm. Because you have perfect pitch and you have a comprehension of these songs. You can't take that away from me.
Yes.
And just the way you look, it's really the way you look tonight, just the way you look tonight. Yeah. I cannot separate those 2 in my mind. When I think of one, the other one comes to mind.
Really?
Right. One is in 1936, one's 1937, different composers, and the other one's, So, but is there a reason why? Is there a tonality? These
why things. You connect them?
Yeah, I mean,
geez, I think I need to be a licensed psychologist to figure that out. But are
they similar? Are they?
Well, the lyric is somewhat similar. I mean, if you look at the lyric, the way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, they can't take that away from me. It's a lyric about simple, everyday things that mean the world to the person who's singing it. And just the way you look tonight is very simple way that you look means the world to me. I mean, maybe that's it. They were both introduced by Fred Astaire. Maybe that is why.
Wow. But also, is there a melodic thing or a thematic melody thing that happens in there that
I don't hear that.
Or a rhythm.
I don't hear that.
Okay. Or a key? Is there? I mean, I don't know, because you know these.
Well, no, I sing one in E flat and one in B flat. So. But, you'd sing it in whatever key suits you, which I want to get into.
But they're not written similarly. Okay, I think.
I don't hear that. But you know what, Barbara? If you do, what you should do is pair those 2 songs, and do a pairing of them in performance.
I've never figured them out then. That's a great idea. Break it down. But I think the theme, the lyric, what you're saying is this. What they're really saying is very similar.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I relate to both of those. So I have to differentiate.
And also they were both sung by Fred Astaire.
Right.
To Ginger Rogers.
Wow.
Of course, The Way You Look Tonight in the movie was a comedy song, essentially, because he was singing it to her behind a door, and she's sitting in front of a mirror with cold cream on her face.
Oh, funny.
and of course, they can't take that away from me. Is a very sad ballad in the movie because they're about to part, or so they think. Anyway, I'm going to move on.
Thanks.
I'm so happy you're here, Barbara.
Love you. Bye. Thanks.
So, let's talk about keys for singers. You want to, because there are some singers out there like Barbara and others, you want to always choose your key according to what your voice does. You know where your strongest high notes are. You know where your most powerful part of your voice is. You know where your most tender part of your voice is. Choose the keys accordingly. And in a number, when you are a cabaret artist, as opposed to any other singing art form, well, that I know of, you can alter the arrangement to be tailor-made to your voice. I'm going to do a number now for you. I start the verse in one key. When I get to the chorus, the ah moment, I go to a completely different key because I want to build tension. And I also want to leave room for myself because at the end, I'm going to jump into that first key where my voice is strongest to create a baffo finish. So that's a little arranging tip. Here's the song. Oh, they say some people long ago were looking for a different kind of tune. One that they could croon as only they can. They only had the rhythm, so they started swaying to and fro. They didn't know just what to use, and that is how the blues really began. They heard a breeze through the trees from some playing weird melodies, and they called that the start of the blues. Now listen, on the next round, if you want to do the snap and slap, it's just snap and slap. And then from a jail came away from some downhearted fray, and they made that. Here we go. The start of the blues. Listen, if you can't enjoy yourself, enjoy somebody else. Slap them, okay? Now from a whippoorwill, way up high on a hill, they heard this new note. They pushed it through a horn until it was a womp, womp, womp into a blue note. Yeah, forget it, it's okay. And then they nursed it and rehearsed it until they sang out the news that the Southland had given birth to the blues. Come around here. This what I'm playing is called the 12-bar blues. This is the 12-bar blues. I wish I could go to 12 bars again. I can't even go to 1 bar. So we'll make up our own. Now the 12-bar blues is the chordal basis, the musical basis for much of the blues that you know and love. You can create any kind of blues, any rhythm on top of these 12 bars with this chord structure. Are we ready to sing along?
I think so.
Here we go, kids. Thanks for joining me. Have a fabulous evening.
What good is sitting alone in your room?
Hear the music.
It's terrible. Life is a cabaret, old chum.
Come to the cabaret.
Life is a cabaret.
Mark, something you'll never forget. Thank you for everybody.
I won't.
Thank you all for coming to Girls Night In online. We're gonna all say good night.
Good night.
Good night.